All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're having a wonderful day. It is April 11th, 2025, and we got a very interesting one on our hands. Not only did you barely move pre-market compared to the last couple of days, these are pretty big. The bonds were blowing out last night. Somehow they got a bid. You had China retaliation. They ended up raising their tariffs, but they also said that they think the tariffs are a joke and that they don't see them going higher from here, kind of like your boy Donald Trump when he was talking about it. But whole point is, very, very wild week. We've had everything from historic gains all the way down to a wild sell-off and move yesterday, and now you're just chilling right in the middle of it, and you got some big data, baby, that comes out about 30 minutes after the bell. So I think after that, we'll get our move. We'll see how everybody settles in. And the bank earnings actually weren't that bad to start out, but none of the plays are actually moving. Again, JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, none of them did bad, but they're not holding up. Oh, yeah, PPI, duh, that came in lower than ever. So I think it was the lowest PPI since like March of 2020. Same with one of the components of CPI yesterday, but the hard data does not highlight what the soft narrative has been saying, but never know. We'll see. But Chatadonia, are you ready? It's Friday, baby. Oh, yeah. Good morning. What up, Keenan? What up, Yelly? Mark, Laurie, Laker, Jay. Good morning, baby. What up, PNC? Jayesco, Caballero, Dos Nacho, Enrico, Christina, Ayosh, baby, what's going on? What up, Dakota? What up, Joshua? What up, Charmander? Wesley O'Neill, Sahir, baby, AK, the Mystic, Mr. Tiger Man, Nate McAllister, baby, good morning, Garp. How you doing, Tyree Brand, Brandon Piazza, Joe's, baby, good morning. Oh, excuse me. My goodness, ByteDance is developing AI smart glasses. Get some competition, Meta. What up, Katigo? What up, Benson? What up, Aman? Good morning. Happy Friday, baby. What about the Twitch? Swoopy. Charlie in the tree, baby. Oh, you in San Diego? Let's go, baby. Stock Sasquatch, El Coyote, Dio, Relentless, Iron Beagle, Mr. Mystery, Roach Vince, Payday Devil, 12 Jimin, Blazing Bob, El Coyote, Jamie, and Pie Guy. Let's go, baby. So I hope you're ready. I hope you're feeling blessed. But here's Josh AI with the news. Good morning. Good morning. Dollar sinks and gold soars in spiraling trade war. The dollar tumbled on concern its status as the world's reserve currency is being eroded as the U.S.-China trade war intensifies. Gold soared and the euro topped a 3-year high in a week that's seen the biggest swings in decades erupt across stock and bond markets. Currency moves took the spotlight on Friday. Index of the dollar sank 1% to a 6-month low. Treasuries were steady as producer prices unexpectedly fell in March, adding to evidence of tame inflation leading up to the latest wave of tariffs. The question of a potential dollar confidence crisis has now been definitively answered. We are experiencing one in full force. ING Bank NV strategists, including Francesco Pesole, wrote in a note, the dollar collapse is working as a barometer of sell America at the moment. In the latest tit-for-tat move, China announced it would raise tariffs on all U.S. goods from 84% to 125% and warned that it plans to resolutely counterattack and fight to the end if the U.S. continues to infringe on its rights and interests. The Ministry of Finance also called the Trump administration's actions a joke and said it no longer considers them worth matching. Chinese citizens were interviewed and asked what they think of the new trade policy. They said they can't complain. S&P 500 futures edged higher as bank earnings kicked off, with JP Morgan Chase and Company posting record equity trading revenue but sounding a warning on the souring economic outlook. The lender's shares rose as much as 4% in U.S. pre-market trading as it boosted loan loss provisions and bolstered its reserves. Rival Morgan Stanley also climbed after reporting soaring trading revenue amid market volatility. The economy is facing considerable turbulence, JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon said in commentary accompanying the results. Clients have become more cautious amid an increase in market volatility driven by geopolitical and trade-related tensions. BlackRock Inc. reported lower than expected net inflows in the quarter, which ended just before Trump unleashed his latest tariffs, with CEO Larry Fink likening current conditions to the structural shifts seen during the global financial crisis and the COVID pandemic. Uncertainty and anxiety about the future of markets and the economy are dominating client conversations, Fink said in a statement. Earlier, Bank of America corporate strategist Michael Hartnett said President Donald Trump's tariffs and the resulting market turmoil were turning U.S. exceptionalism into U.S. repudiation. He advised investors sell any rallies until the Federal Reserve steps in and the U.S. and China de-escalate, recommending a short position on stocks until the S&P 500 hits 4,800 points and a long bet on 2-year treasuries. Higher bond yields, lower stocks, and a weaker dollar are driving global asset liquidation will likely force policymakers to act, Hartnett wrote in a note, but investors should sell the rips in risk assets. In other markets, gold rose to a record above $3,200 an ounce. Bitcoin advanced 2.8%. The euro strengthened 1.4% to about $1.13. The main player of global trade just tore down the playbook, and we don't know what his end game is, said Olivier Baudouin, head of European equities at OFI Invest AM in Paris. We're witnessing a loss of visibility, and we are still in a phase of uncertainty. Risky assets build on Wall Street as so rock-solid safe they're risk-free. U.S. Treasury bonds have long served as first port of call for investors during times of panic. They rallied during the global financial crisis on 9/11, and even when America's own credit rating was cut. But now, as President Donald Trump unleashes an all-out assault on global trade, their status as the world's safe haven is increasingly coming into question. Yields, especially on longer-term debt, have surged in recent days while the dollar has plunged. Even more disconcerting is the pattern of the recent market moves. Investors have often dumped 10-day and 30-year treasuries, pushing prices down and yields up at the very same time they frantically sold stocks, crypto, and other risky assets. The inverse is also true, with treasuries rising in unison with them. They are trading, in other words, a little like a risky asset themselves, with profound implications for the global financial system. Dollar emerges as latest victim of this week's markets mayhem. The dollar has emerged as the latest victim of this week's market turmoil as a worsening global trade war risks derailing U.S. economic growth. A Bloomberg gauge of the greenback tumbled to a fresh 6-month low Friday after China raised tariffs on all U.S. goods from 84% to 125% with effect from April 12th. Options traders turned bearish for the first time in 5 years as part of a broader exodus from U.S. assets as trade tensions between the world's two largest economies continued to intensify. UK growth surges as factories boost output before U.S. tariffs. Britain's economy posted the strongest growth in almost a year in February as factories ramped up production ahead of Donald Trump's wave of tariffs that have brought turmoil to global markets. Gross domestic product rose 0.5% after a stagnant January, itself revised up from a previously estimated 0.1% decline, the Office for National Statistics said Friday. February's number was well above the 0.1% gain predicted by economists, with all the main sectors posting increases. At top overnight news, trade tariffs. China escalates trade war with 125% tariffs on U.S. goods, vows to ignore further retaliation. FT Bloomberg. Trump administration races to secure ad hoc tariff deals with nearly 70 nations, prioritizing speed over traditional pacts. Trump says tariffs may cause transition problems and wants trade deal with China. Reuters. Trump threatens fresh tariffs and sanctions on Mexico over Texas water rights. Axios. EU seeks trade deal in 90-day truce. Plans coordinated response to U.S. tariff threats. Reuters. Politico. EU trade diplomacy surges as von der Leyen courts global partners. FT also plans July summit in Beijing with President Xi. SCMP. Vietnam prepared to crack down on China. Transshipments in order win U.S. tariff relief. Reuters. Investors encouraged by Treasury Secretary Bessent assuming role of lead negotiator. Politico. Bloomberg. Markets. S&P 500 plunges 3.5% after historic 9.5% rally as trade war volatility rattles markets. Reuters. Trump 2.0 policy uncertainty volatility unleashing sell America trade. Axios. Treasury's haven status questioned with yields surging amid equity market tumult. Bloomberg. U.S. dollar plunges to multi-year lows as Trump's 145% China tariffs inflation dip fuel sell America sentiment. BOFA's Hartnett says sell S&P rallies until Fed cuts rates or U.S.-China trade war de-escalates. Bloomberg. Mystery options bets worth millions preceded Trump's tariff pause, sparking insider trading scrutiny. Reuters. Top U.S. pension funds lose $169 billion in days as Trump tariffs trigger market shock. Bloomberg. High-yield leveraged loan ETFs experienced heavy outflows as sentiment towards corporate credit deteriorates. FT. Central banks. Fed's Collins latest to suggest inflation risks could delay rate cuts. Bloomberg. Fed officials unfazed by market volatility so far remain focused on inflation risks. Reuters. ECB faces pressure for further rate cuts amid global trade uncertainty and inflation balancing act. Bloomberg. ECB's Villeroy warns against U.S.-style deregulation, urges EU to simplify rules to avoid seeds of future crises. Bloomberg. RBA's Bullock downplays emergency rate cut calls, cites trade war impact as less severe than 2008 crisis. AFR. Corporate. Very little clarity around how tariffs will affect outlook for corporate earnings. Bloomberg. CEOs remain worried about costs, falling orders, and upended supply chains despite Trump's tariff pause. Reuters. Tesla halts new Model S X orders in China amid escalating U.S. trade war. Tariff spike to 145%. Five Below has asked vendors to turn away products in China, waiting for shipment to U.S. amid escalating U.S.-China trade war. Bloomberg. Harley-Davidson explores $1 B-plus sale of financial arm amid CEO exit and stock slump. Bloomberg. FDA phases out animal testing for drug approvals, embraces AI and human models in major shift. Reuters. FDIC eyes 20% staff, cuts under Musk's Doge push, raising alarms over banking oversight and deposit safety. Bloomberg. Stellantis Q1 shipments fell 9% to 1.2 M units, below expectations. Logitech withdraws 2026 forecast amid tariff uncertainty. Reuters. Novartis commits $23 billion U.S. expansion amid Trump's looming pharma tariffs. Bloomberg. Economy. Retailers warning Americans of price rises and product shortages as early as April. FT. Analysis finds 25% auto tariffs will raise costs for automakers by $108 in 2025. Reuters. Egg prices hit record $6.23 per dozen despite Trump's import push and wholesale declines ahead of Easter demand. Axios. An upside surprise in UK monthly activity data. FT. UK job market weakens further as hiring slows and worker availability hits four-year high amid global trade uncertainty. Reuters. Bloomberg. Japan appoints close aide Akazawa as trade negotiator amid U.S. tariff talks, considers sales tax cut to offset economic impact. Reuters. South Korea exports grow in first 10 days of April. Chip shipments up 32%. Yonhap, Washington, Representative Chip Roy of Texas voted to adopt Senate budget blueprint after receiving assurances about deep cuts to entitlement programs, including Medicaid. NY Times, Health Secretary Kennedy says U.S. will know cause of autism epidemic by September. Reuters, Hegseth axes $1.5 billion in Pentagon contracts, targets Accenture and DEI initiatives in Musk-led efficiency drive. Bloomberg, geopolitics, U.S. slaps sanctions on China-linked Iranian oil network, days ahead of high-stakes nuclear talks in Oman. Reuters, Trump envoy Witkoff arrives in Russia for Ukraine talks, although Kremlin unclear on Putin meeting. Bloomberg, EU ministers back defense spending surge, eye joint financing to counter U.S. tensions and Russian threats. Bloomberg, top China general removed from post in latest purge by President Xi. FT, trade war distracts from Ukraine defense priorities. Politico. I think that's it. I thought there was more again, but I guess not. Good morning, Chad. Happy Friday. We have more. S&P futures, they're down by 0.4 on a choppy Friday morning. Comes after U.S. equities sold off sharply on Thursday, with the S&P down nearly 3.5, giving back over a third of its big Wednesday bounce. Treasuries weaker, most notably the belly of the curve, though the yield on the 30-year on track for the biggest weekly backup since the 1980s. 2-year, 10-year spread, widest since February 2022. Dollar down by 1.4 off the worst levels, but down more than 3% this week. Gold is up by 2.3, Bitcoin up by 3.3, and WTI is flat. Trade continues to dominate the headlines with unrelenting ramp in U.S.-China tensions as Beijing increases tariff rate on U.S. goods to 125. However, they did say they will ignore further U.S. increase, and recent Reuters report noted that some chip makers exempt. Press has highlighted concerns about just how Trump admin is going to be managing to put together a myriad of bespoke trade deals in the next 3 months. In addition, big ramp in scrutiny beyond stocks, dollar weakness, and backup in yields partly chalked up to latest dents in U.S. exceptionalism and safe haven narrative from Trump 2.0 uncertainty increasingly seen as the big thing and big theme in the upcoming Q1 earnings season, with more companies expected to pull 2025 guide. Headline PPI dropped by 0.4 month over month against consensus of a rise of 0.2, driven sharply lower by sharply lower energy, up 2.7 year over year. Core is down by 0.1 against forecast for a 0.3 rise. Service prices were down by 0.2. Later this morning, we'll see preliminary April consumer sentiment and inflation expectations. Headline expected to fall to 54 from 57 in March, while inflation expectations could be impacted by recent tariff announcement. Survey did run through April 7th. Oh, no. No! That's it. Oh, man, it's going to be terrible. Muslim and Williams, the Fed speakers this morning. A recent Fed speak has reiterated patience mantra and highlighted some upside risks surrounding inflation and expectations from tariffs. Q1 earnings season unofficially begins today, with some of the big banks street looking for S&P earnings up 7% year over year in quarter one. JP Morgan beat with NII and fees ahead, while equity trading seemed to be the standout, hitting record levels, and bank bumped up full year NII guide. Wells Fargo mixed with revenue, NII and fees light, but EPS provisions better and full year guide unchanged. Morgan Stanley beat in equity trading, hit record revenue. BOK, EPS ahead on better margins, while long-term inflows came in light. BK beat and talked up operating leverage. Fastenal, fiscal Q2 results largely in line. MLM pre-announced Q1 revenue slightly below, and EBITDA ahead with CFO resignation. Logitech pulled full year 26 guide due to uncertainty on tariffs. SMG to separate its cannabis holding from its core business, citing lack of progress on the regulatory front. Hogg reportedly considering sale of finance business in a deal that could be worth at least $1 billion. ULCC, latest airline to negatively pre-announce for Q1, while they also said they're unable to affirm 25 outlook due to uncertain environment. And then THS pre-announced Q1 EBITDA ahead, largely in line sales, and reiterated full year guide and highlighted new efficiency program. Wow. Perfect timing. Perfect. That's it. That's all of them. Now we got pre-market movers. What do we got? Is this it? Nah, these are old. Am I tripping? Yeah, that one's not. Please hold. I need it to refresh. Did it not save? No. Oh, I guess I only got one of them. I forgot the other side. No, this is it, I think. What? No, I'm missing part of it. Well, these are the ones trading lower. TXN is down by 4.9. Let me go see if I can find the other one. Again, SLP, they're up by 20. FDA is phasing out the AI one, and then ABSI. If you guys remember, what was it? Was it like CL yesterday? CRL, we saw one of those big moves. That had to do with all of that. Consumer sentiment is going to be at 10 a.m. So 30 minutes after the bell. Okay, ARGX up 5. FDA approves Vigart. Tech is up 4. MSTR up 3. CCEP up 3.4. L3 Harris up 2.1. Goldman upgrade. BlackRock up 1.3. Earnings cert up by 16.2. That's related to FDA phasing out animal testing. SDGR, same. RXRX is up 10 on that as well. Zim is up by 3.1. HII, Goldman upgrade 2.8. Hog up 1.8 on selling business. And then all of these, now we're up to date. Chinese ADR is trading higher. Gold and silver trading higher, trading lower. TXN down 4. China exempt chip makers from tariffs based on locations. Morgan Stanley down 0.3 off earnings. 5 down 2.9. Reportedly halts orders from China. Joby down 2.8. Morgan Stanley downgrade. PL down 2.4. Goldman downgrade. And then NOTV down 10.6. FDA phasing out animal testing for AI. Woo! Just like that, baby. I know. Are you ready? It's going to be a big day. That's it. You have bank earnings. Oh, Trump. We are doing really well on our tariff policy, Trump says. Yeah, they're pretty much replacing animal testing, the FDA, for AI models, essentially. So now you're no longer allowed to test on animals, but you are allowed to run an AI test. I don't know if this is good or not. It seems good. It doesn't seem good, but definitely a new development. Welcome to the new world, my friends. But that being said, speaking of new world, old world, whatever, you would not have a world if it wasn't for a very special set of people that have made the ultimate commitment and have given up so much every day for all of our freedoms. And what I'm talking about is the veterans of the United States of America. So on behalf of the cult, baby, before we do anything, before we try to chase a dollar, before we try to enrich ourselves, we must pay homage to a very special group of people that has made this sacrifice and is the reason we are here today, and that is the veterans of the United States of America. So on behalf of everybody, active service, past service, anybody who has served, even the families, for real, man. Thank you for everything you have given. Thank you for your commitment to this country, whether you have agreed with things or not. You have given up so much for all of our freedoms, and it is so easy to take for granted. So if you're listening and you haven't served, I really hope you show this love and appreciation in real life. And veterans, if anybody should be getting that dope long term, that dope crib, it should be you. So let us help you out in any way, shape, or form. But at the end of the day, I just want to say thank you and God bless every single one of you. And big shout out to anybody else out there giving back to their local communities. Doctors, nurses, teachers, firefighters, police officers, janitors, coaches, garbage men, anybody making their community run, baby. God bless you and thank you. But ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Place your right hand over your heart. Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, baby. Son of the judge! Oh, it's game time, baby. Oh, no. Let's go. Oh, Chad. Are you ready? Are you ready? The Battle of Blue Hair on April 11th, 2025. Oh, for we rose at the morrow ready for battle. Oh, although it was quiet on the field, we knew the Blue Hairs were planning an attack. So we prepared, but we will fight till the end. All right, baby. So I got a couple plays for you. All of that. We'll go over it in a second, but You know what we got to do, baby. It's time to move it on over. Time to move it on over to Gen Pop. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's Friday, baby. It's Friday. Hey, yo, happy birthday, too, bro. Are you kidding me? Is that Andy? Oh, let's go, baby. Let's go, baby. It's a good day to have a birthday. May you prosper. And don't YOLO all your money just because it's your birthday. That's a trap. That's a trap. I don't know who needed to hear that. But I love you all. I will see you there. Have a great time. And peace. Shout out to Vets, baby.